Come on, guys, let's give him a round of applause. Zain, who is growth hacker at Itheum, please. Whatever your picture is, yep. All right, Sopo, who is vice president at Impel, and before that, she was co-founder at one of the most prominent Georgian startups, Pulsar AI. It was one of the first international exit stories, so it's very nice to have you here. Then we have Irakli Beselidze, founder of CalenAI. These guys focus on conversational AI. It's a Georgian startup. And moderating the panel discussion will be Sergi Gvarjaladze, who is chief development officer at Kettari Foundation and one of the known guys here in Georgia in creativity sphere. All right, guys, good luck.
Yeah, it's always great to be announced as a popular topic, you know, so pop is a very important thing. Thank you very much, guys, that you are here today, that we managed, all of us. Well, I know we are busy people, but it's great to see you here in Georgia also. Welcome. Welcome everybody to Degamefi. It was like amazing 3 years. Actually, I'm representing creative industries, Kettari Foundation. I'm a CDO of the Kettari Foundation and also president of the Association of Creative Industries of Georgia. That's why this is going to be, I'm not a tech guy. That's why, you know, it's going to be interesting, I guess. And the topic, of course, it's an incredibly exciting topic, scary at the same time. AI, you know, like everybody's thinking what's going to happen next couple of years. But at the same time, this is a very promising industry, first of all, and promising life, I guess, you know, because I'm very much pro-AI, and I hope that it's going to stay this way. So first of all, I would like to ask you how your companies and you personally are, you know, using this amazing opportunity. I understand that you are working in the industry, but what about your companies and yourself? How do you use this technology? So it's for everybody, so we start from Irakli, please.
Thank you for inviting me here. Big thanks to the Degamefi organizers for having me here. And big thanks to Kettari Foundation. We were one of the beneficiaries of this foundation. We won the Pitch and Win Startup competition like 2 years ago. So really thankful for what Kettari Foundation is doing here in Georgia. Yeah, we are an AI startup. What we do is we implement AI into companies' business processes. Specifically, what we do is we automate contact center, call center, customer service. So, for example, the first voice Georgian AI assistant, we launched it back in August the 2nd last year, and it's still working for Georgian insurance company RD. So if you call them and try to make an appointment with a family doctor, our voice assistant will serve you. And this is one of the kind of base use cases and the main use cases we are using right now. And I think the future will be like augmented workforce. So we will need to work a lot to compete with the robots. So it's a little bit less creative, but it's a reality.
Hi. So for me, working at McCann, I had 4 creative directors reporting to me and about 50 creatives that had to listen to, or at least pretend to listen to what I had to say. And then going to Google, I was what they call a specialist or an individual contributor, meaning that I had to do everything creative by myself. And creativity was my job. I woke up every morning to make sure that Google's strategic clients scale and succeed on Google's advertising platforms through creativity, through the right kind of creative. So I was very scared to don't have anyone to do what I tell them to do creatively. But arriving to Google alongside the rise of generative AI tools for creativity, I did not feel alone for a second. I felt that I have 5 or 6 super experienced and talented teams working with me at all time. and they didn't have work-life balance or terrible things like feelings, and they helped me create the creative assets I needed, as well as the 50 people I had, more or less. I hope I'm not offending anyone, but I felt like I have an entire advertising agency for myself.
Sopo?
Hi, everyone. I'll start from the personal side because I feel like usually not a day goes by when I'm not on ChatGPT, because I feel like most of the work that I need to do, ChatGPT is capable of doing it in less than a minute. So I try to use that technology to write emails, analyze the text, summarize the text for me, review some of the reports, summarize some of the reports. So like day to day, I feel like GPT is, I would say, helping me to perform 100 times better. So that's on a personal side. Also, there are other platforms that I use, which is, let's say, Superhuman, which is an email client that also uses AI. So most of the platforms that are up to date with the recent developments, I think that most of them do leverage AI. So like Canva, for instance, or Mistral, Midjourney, like Claude, you name it. There's a lot of platforms that, as of today, are either driven by AI or use AI tools. So that's on a personal note. From Impel side, we create virtual assistants for car dealerships, and we use large language models as well as our proprietary technology to become like a de facto standard for AI. So yeah, like my day-to-day is involved a lot. A lot of it is driven by the technology, the software that is on the market. So I try to be like up to speed with every development. So I try to be as quick as possible. But yeah, that's the whole like summary. Thank you.
Zain?
All right. Hi, firstly. This is Zain this side. AI and creativity is the subject that we're going to talk about. But I want to ask you guys, how many of you in the room actually use ChatGPT? And you can just raise your hand to give me an idea. There you go. So I see AI like an inevitable tech which had to evolve. And we are at an age where AI is kind of becoming engrossed in the daily work that we do. But creative element is something, I let the panel diverge into that topic. But it lacks emotion. That's something that's always going to be human, right? So AI cannot, the whole marketing around the subject is AI is, going to take away your jobs, blah, blah, blah. That's not the case. The progression of AI, in my opinion, is just going to give you a boost over the job that you do. And, irrespective of which field you are in, AI is going to replace one or the other way. So it's a natural progression. We use AI a lot. Personally, I use AI a lot as well. And in the company that I'm working for, which is all about data at the end of the day, and even the jurisdiction that I come from, for example, Dubai is, having a lot of AI into the political systems, into the way they interact with the people, even at airports, for example. And most of the things are driven through AI. So it's a subject of where we want to take AI and how do we quickly adapt to AI and make it a part of our lives to boost what we do in real life. Yeah.
So, I'm using, of course, I'm using AI. I'm using all of them, whatever is possible right now. And recently I mocked my friend who's a music critic. He's into Afrobeat. And so while talking with him, I created a band visually. Then I created 3 songs of this Afrobeat band, put it on YouTube, and told him, do you know this band? This is a new shit, like you have to check it out. And I named the band with his family name. He's Haduri, and I named them Exadur. And the guy was shocked, because he didn't know the band, because he's an expert in Afrobeat. He didn't know the band. He liked the image. He liked the music. You know, it was absolutely, you know, crazy for him. And it was even crazier when I told him that this is AI. You know, I used Suno for it, and Suno is getting even better nowadays. So this is, of course, for me, I'm an 80s kid, like new wave, synth rock and stuff, you know. For me, it's a revolution. And there are many, many ideas coming while I'm working with it. But what are the major misconceptions about it? You mentioned that like it doesn't have soul, or you know, it's not. Yeah. And what is a technical misconception? What people like general public think about that?
So, in my opinion, if you know, so large language models are probabilistic statistical models. So what they do is they guess the second most probable step. If it's music, the second note. If it's the word, the most probable word in this context. So, and what in most cases you have, for example, if we use ChatGPT to write a book, so you will have a lot of, you know, very boring text because when you're reading a good writer, what they do, they put the idea and they take the idea and they put out the words in a way that you really that your brain enjoys how he put it there. So your eyes see something and your brain just can't understand how it was possible to do. So, and this is what AI is not capable to do yet. So AI is doing right the opposite. So what good author does, he writes a text in a way that nobody has done it before. So, and this is why you enjoy this text, right? And I'm not sure that it's possible to do with the technology, which implies quite the opposite approach to generating content. So that's my my idea. That's it's not a misconception. It's just was not built to write art or something that wasn't invented before. It's just using the big different types of data to create something similar that it already kind of was trained for, right? And I'm not sure, probably you guys know, so if it's possible to overcome to do something like, for example, Jordan Peterson has his own framework how to write the text. Probably you can teach AI how to use the framework, but outside the framework, it will not be able to create something new. That's my, ChatGPT is pretty good to write a kind of business email, right? No creativity required. Just, you know, take the facts, take the context, make it personal to the person. That's it. Send it, it works, right? If you want to write a novel, not sure. So I'm pretty interested what other you guys think about it.
I would like to contradict what you just said. And maybe this is the misconception that I can address, that maybe there is a misconception that the language models find it difficult to be creative or emotional. And for me, I can give an example. Yesterday, I held a workshop going with people through all the stages from a challenge, from a communications challenge, through a brief to a creative execution in 90 minutes using free AI tools. And I'm going to tell you one of my secrets of how I work. I like to write manifestos. Once I have the communications brief, I ask the model to write a manifesto, kind of like, here's apples, here's to the crazy ones. So I prompted to say, write a 1-minute voiceover for a manifesto titled, here's to, in this case, it was tourism in Georgia. And we said, okay, this is tourism in Georgia is affordable luxury. This is something that we invented. So I asked it to write a manifesto about affordable luxury. And it wrote something incredible. And once I created music with Suno and used 11 labs to get this text narrated, and I just played the narration of the manifesto with the music, and the entire room got goosebumps. So this is something that could create a lot of emotion. And it was technical. Suno prompt, ChatGPT prompt, or Claude prompt, 11 Labs, you have goosebumps.
Sopo, of course, you can elaborate on that, but do you also use AI for your teams inside the company? Is there a collaboration in these terms?
Yes, definitely. So one of the things that usually, like one of the cases that I have recently discovered is GPT is helping me to understand the context, which I may or may not be able to understand in that context. So I think when during the team conversations, there's like Zoom has now a feature where it does the curation for you. So the conversations that you are having over Zoom, it is now curated through AI, and it gives you the summary of the conversation that you've been having with your team members, your colleagues, your partners, whatnot. So I think it's one of the practical use cases that I have recently been using quite actively. And to talk about some of the misconceptions, I would say that when people say that we should be scared by the developments of the AI, or no one's going to know what AI is going to do with us, that's not true. I think people who are behind the forces of developing the AI is some people that should be more cautious about. So I think as long as AI is being developed with good hands and with right expertise, the outcomes will be significant. And also, one of the things that, like you mentioned, like one of the examples, I was fascinated by Sora, the video that was released, where essentially Sora was able to create and generate videos by just using a prompt, right? It still has a lot of developments to do, that's right, but we're in the right pace. And also, there was like a Reid Hoffman interview that I recently saw, which essentially interviewed himself. He gave and ingested the data of all of his interviews, all of his books, and the interviewer, which was Reid AI, actually asked the questions that Reid would then answer. So I feel like as long as we stay creative, as long as we have that critical thinking and creativity, it will definitely boost AI, and it will help us to become even more productive, even more efficient, and help us to think about the ideas and startups that we haven't yet thought of. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Zain, of course, data is the heart and soul of AI, of course. I've been recently reading that there's going to be a lack of data very soon. So we start to, remix the existing data, and this is going to be a problem. So is it a misconception that there won't be any data available anymore, or we will use all of it? And then we will go on rounds all the time, using the same stuff all the time. So do you think that there will be another development in these terms?
Well, there could be a layer of transparency, Sergi, on top, like where is the data coming from, and that solves the question of ethics in AI, which is a bigger debate to get on. But AI is basically just reacting. It's a user command, right? Like we just put in, it scraps the data at the back, and gives you something, as you guys mentioned, right, from the back, existing to what's already there on the internet. When it comes to where the data is coming from, if we can create a layer of transparency, which blockchain can provide, then we are quite certain in terms of the ethics, hey, this data is coming from this verified source, for example. And because we know the basis of where the data is coming from, we're quite sure of the output which is received. But I think it's an interplay of humans and machines. It's an intersection where we are heading into a direction where we will see new advancements coming into. So I don't have a direct answer to you, but yes, and there are projects doing that, like for example, what we do, or there are other protocols in the blockchain ecosystem that are trying to bridge this gap and feed in the data into the AI, and then let AI do the rest part of the magic. So if we can bring in this transparency, which is completely, like how many of you guys go read privacy policies? It's all there. Technically it's all transparent, but we don't really spend that time. So how can we use AI? And I do that quite often. I go ahead, read the terms and conditions. It's huge, right? So I just copy paste that into an AI engine and say, just interpret this to me and give me a summary of what's happening, or give me a summary of where the legal jurisdictions are for this. Whatever questions I have in my mind. And AI does a brilliant job with that, right? Like, it just saves me time to not read those 20 pages, but read that one page which summarizes everything with complete accuracy. So if we can reach a stage where we can use data in a way, because data is the fuel that's going to fuel up the AI engine. And data is also an asset. And most of us don't realize that this data that we own, is taken away from us in many ways. So, for example, a smartphone, I'm sure everyone in the room is using that. And there are so many sensors embedded into your phones that are even tracking the way you walk. And I was surprised to see this, So when you walk in, your hip movement is actually one of the controversial data that goes to the healthcare insurance companies. And they can predict what sort of illness you're going to develop over a period of time. So if you're too bent or you're standing too stiff, healthcare can use this data, which is your data, to give you ads and give you all sort of all these sort of places that you can go and you're gonna, oh my God, this is happening to me, and you can relate to it because it's true. But if you can like just block data, right? Like, you can choose what you want to share, what you don't want to share, and there is GDPR and all of that, which is of course there, when it comes to data, but it's kind of very difficult and complicated, in the life where we live. So we have to simplify, to sum it up, to simplify the source of the data itself, and to simplify the usage of this data to solve the ethical problem, which is the biggest dilemma in my opinion. But just to leave another thought with everyone, like, I was reading something very cool which said that I don't want AI to do my creative work. I want to do my paintings, I want to do my writing. I want AI to do my dishes, for example. And how can AI do that, right? Like, it's leading us, so we should not be scared, that it's going to be like, take us down in terms of creativity. I think if we use it correctly, it can step up our creative game as well, because we're going to have so many new options in so limited time that we can put in that human element into it and make it even better.
And also there's one thing that I wanted to bring up. Like, as of today, we have the largest digital data that we've ever had before, right? And that's a fact. And currently, what we're seeing is that there are a lot of AI companies that are working B2B towards the media platforms to grab the data, ingest their data into their LLMs, and do the training, right? We've seen Reddit collaborating with OpenAI. We've seen a lot of media outlets and platforms collaborating with OpenAI. We've seen Apple collaborating with OpenAI, right? So I think it's a matter of fact of giving that data towards building something that is important and valuable for developing true LLM. So I think we're there. I don't think that we are lacking data as of today. We just have to, I feel like we have to use the data and use what we have to build the large language models and ensure that this development will continue gradually.
It's great that you mentioned ethical aspects of the whole thing. Actually, I wanted to talk about that. There are many people thinking about their future labor, like how they're going to work, what are they going to do. Just 6 months ago, I had a meeting in Batumi with the representative of TripAdvisor. And once I arrived there, this very nice person told me that he's not working for TripAdvisor anymore because while he was flying to Georgia, nearly 3,000 people lost their jobs just because the support, departments, they don't need them anymore. So this is a very important issue. There is an issue of bias also because, we're living in the times of wars and, changes of vectors, political vectors, how these machines will influence our political decisions, how people in politics will use it. This is another issue also, right? And of course, the question of intellectual property. So what's your vision about that? How it's going to develop, all these pretty complicated issues,
Yes, there are a lot of questions, so I'll try to address at least some of them. So the first regarding labor. All of you, all of us, and our everyday jobs will be automated by AI in 5 years. So there is no way that you are going to the office, writing an emails and making calls, and you will be doing it better than AI in 5 years. No way. So, and also, one more scary thing is that even your education makes no sense anymore because imagine any person who doesn't know how to write, doesn't know how to read, have no idea about what math is, but is able to use speech-to-text, text-to-speech software, for example. Okay, read Shakespeare to me. So, and then the technology reads the Shakespeare and he can understand it, right? So he doesn't need to read. So now, please, I have this idea, please write it down. So I don't even need to write. So, and now calculate like anything. So, and machine will do better. And let me say this person who doesn't know how to read or write and know nothing about maths, but is good and has a good skill of using all the technology will be at much more advantage than Stanford graduate who doesn't use the AI tools. So everything will change, and even how we can understand what high IQ people mean, it will also change because of these technologies that can automate all the routine stuff that we do. All the routine will be gone, will be done by AI. So now the question is, what are we going to do? So, and the main idea is that at the moment, who is aware of Abraham Maslow's pyramid? So have you heard about it? So the idea is that there are probably 5 or 6 steps there, but I will just simplify it to 3. So the first level is just, you're trying to keep your family, make some money to feed your family. So this is the basic level, and 82% of people are there. So the second level is you want to become authority, you have to do something significant in your life, become famous and so on. This is the second level. And the third level is like when you have goals that are far beyond your lifespan. For example, like Elon Musk, he says that we have to become like multiplanetary species and we have to travel to Mars and so on and so forth. And he understands that these goals cannot be achieved within his lifespan. So, and what I think that the basic part, so what we have to do as humans, we have to start thinking at the higher level, have a higher level goals. So once you have higher level goals, you don't think about, money to feed your family, but you're thinking about becoming something significant. You will start seeing all this, everything that is happening right now, you will have a different perspective on that. So you, instead of being scary of losing your job that barely keeps you alive, you will start thinking about becoming something else, something bigger. And I think that some people will go there And there is another effect I think will happen is that other people who are like 80% of people are lazy, you know, they will become even lazier. So they will do nothing, they will become more fat than we are now, and they will be doing that because the robots will be growing foods, they will be doing everything. So you don't have to do anything, they will just bring you food, it's like super cheap, all you have to do is make photos on Instagram and like sell posts there, like monetize this one. So, but if you want to become, if you have a bigger goals, then AI will be a huge boost in productivity so that you can do much more than Elon Musk has done since 2003 until now. So now you can do the same tasks like probably in 3 years because you have this amazing power and amazing tool that can help you automate all the routine and spend all the time on creating ideas that are far beyond what can AI do. So this is my 2 cents on what is going to happen with labor and how we can benefit and how someone will not.
I can also
Thank you.
address this notion that we are all going to be out of jobs and AI is going to automate all of our roles. First thing, one of my hobbies is that I'm a very terrible surfer. And at the moment, we have a huge wave coming. The wave is here. We can see it. Everybody can see it. And what we need to do is start paddling as hard as we can so we can ride this wave. If we don't ride it, we all know this. This is a cliche, what I'm saying, but if we don't ride this wave is going to crash on us. But if we ride it, and if we get to ride it well, it will only be beneficial for us. Another thing is talking about automation, and from the marketing and creative perspective, if company A and company B invest the same $1 million into a machine that automates their marketing, same machine, the best algorithms in the world, the top minds thought of these algorithms to make the ad perform better, but they both invest in the same machine. Which company is going to win? And the answer is the company that has better ideas and better strategy. So human thinking is still critical. We need to ride this wave. We need to know how to use it. But our ideas and our strategic thinking are still crucial to business success for companies.
So I still want to ask you about the rights, the intellectual property. You know, the thing is that, like, of course, this is great to work with the AI to have a personal assistant, but somehow we have to decide: is it me who owns the intellectual property in this case? Is it the company who created the machine, or we split it? Because actually, I understand that right now the regulators all over the world are just in shock. These guys are it's an old generation. They know what copyrights are, patent, etc. But they have no idea how the AI is working. You know, they think that the machine is still stealing pieces of somebody's work, you know, and that's the result. But it's not working this way, right? So, and coding, this is also a very important part, right? Who owns the pieces of code that we integrate into programs, you know? What do you think? Do we need the regulations, or you are talking about that we are coming to another level. Maybe we don't even understand where we're coming to. So do we have to care about that right now, or we just need, and we don't need any regulations and let it into the ocean of, you know, free mind and getting crazy and getting creative? You know, this is what I would like to ask all of you, of course.
So legislation on generative AI is a huge subject, and I'm not an expert on that. There are the smartest people in the world right now thinking about legislation and regulation. Obviously, like anything, we should have regulation. But I can tell you about a whole field of companies that is now rising, which is IP for generated content. And I hear about people that have ways to get IPs for content that you created on Midjourney or Luma or Sora or whatever. Another example I can give you is an Israeli company called Bria, BRIA, that they trained their models on IP that was approved, like Getty and Shutterstock. And all of the assets that you create with this company are approved to use with no legal, you don't need to be worried about legal consequences. So this is a field that is growing right now.
Yeah, I agree. Intellectual property rights is something that is under question when it comes to AI, and who owns the data that it has been generating is something that a lot of people have been discussing recently, but I don't think this is something that will be unfortunately solved within a minute or two. But what I can say is that, like, one of the examples that came to my mind, like, if you have a full-time job, if you work for a larger company, the emails that you send out, the innovations that you create within the company, you are not essentially an individual owner to that idea, right? Company is the one who owns that. So maybe, like, this is something that we may or may not feel that this should be important as of today, rather than focusing on how we can ethically develop AI in a way that it can help us to augment whatever we do. And you're right, like, whoever has more access, control, understanding of the technology and AI software essentially wins, right? So imagine, like, editing a photo without, like, Photoshop, right? Or all the other, like, modern tools that is out there, right? It's simply not the right way to do, right? Because you have to keep up the pace, and you have to keep up with the technology that is out there. So essentially, AI is one of the technologies, one of the leading technologies that will shape our future and shape our workforce.
Zain?
Yeah, I think there are two sides to it. It's a dilemma, and I agree. It's not a problem that we can solve right now. Or maybe it's not a problem that we should be aiming to solve right now. I think if we can solve the middle piece, which is where the data is coming from, we can solve the second part. Who owns that? And in terms of regulations, I'm not an expert either, but I do read, quite actively around this, and I noticed that there are certain alliances that are now being formed. For example, is a content alliance, and many companies, including big brands, are now participating and becoming a part of that alliance, who then eventually can sort out all these issues for you if you have an IP. So it's not as probably there's so much IP that we anyway generate and we don't own it, right? So it's going to be the similar sort of structure at the end of the day, but unless it becomes a question of this is me, and I did this piece. And that might just happen in the future, and then eventually regulations will develop. But I'm an advocate for regulations to exist for sure. I think, without things being regulated, it's a very dark industry, and you can't really scale it up for masses without regulation. So, yeah, it's like a dilemma situation for now. Maybe a couple of years as AI unfolds itself, these questions will be answered with time. But at the moment, I don't think you should worry about that. As people, we should just try to adapt. I perfectly relate to your example of waves, right? Like, I was trying to swim, and I was not able to swim. So I was thinking, while swimming, like whether I should just, I'm a blockchain guy, right? At the end of the day, it's something work-oriented running at the end of my day, and I was thinking that I should enhance my physical skills. Like, why don't I just focus on swimming? Why don't I focus on skating? Riding a bike, while I can use AI to save that amount of time and be more creative at the end of the day. So the story is just about you using these tools, and there's a very nice quote that comes to my mind where it says that don't be a part of the system. There is a system that exists, but in order to escape that matrix, all you have to do is just use that system to your advantage. And eventually you'll reach like at a stage where you're out of the system. And we're all trying our level best, to figure out what the system is. We know it's there. We don't know how to really get out of it, but we have to get in to get out, So if we just pledge ourselves, take it easy, chill, relax, do things that we like more and make technology work for us rather than the opposite way. Eventually, all of us will have our own journey, but we'll be able to reach that stage, and I'm quite confident on that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that in some ways blockchain is a solution for intellectual property registration, and I'm seeing some companies already merging AI with blockchain in these terms. Actually, Kettari Foundation is heavily involved also in this type of projects. We have nearly 5 minutes. We've been talking basically about future a lot, but this future is quite different for you. I understand that you are more into super intelligence, what we are waiting for, and for the next generation AI. But still, what in our lifetime span, let's say, what's going to be next? How fast is going to be?
So let me get this straight. I don't think that current technology is any type of coming near to human intelligence in terms of creativity. So that was my point. In terms of automation of the routine, absolutely. It will automate all the routine that we are doing. But I don't really think that these statistical models are actually AI, meaning that it's artificially created intelligence, because it works on quite a different, let's say, system. Because how human intelligence works, right? It works not on the statistical model, right? We are not just trying to, guess the next word, right? We are not trying to guess the next word. What we are doing is we are every one of us, like we are born, and at the moment that we are born, we have two things. The first, the ability to understand what's going on, like to absorb data, what's going around us, like then interpret the data, then have the strategy, and the second thing that we have, which is different from the animals. Animals also have some intelligence, but they don't have choice of the goals. So animals' goals are genetically fixed, so they have to survive and procreate. No other goals for the animals. We can choose. We also have these animalistic genetical goals, but we also have the ability to have the higher goals. So, but imagine AI, the next level AI will be like this. Imagine AI, the system that is connected to all the data sources. So it sees everything, hears everything, can smell anything, everything, all the data in the world. Everything that is happening right now is consumed by this super AI. Then it has the ability to interpret all this data and then use different strategies and then act, and the action part. So, and it's connected to all the tools that we have, like planes, anything. So, and it can do, for example, if you are like 100 years from now, right? You are boarding on a plane to go somewhere, like for vacations. And then AI calculates everything, and it says, okay, for you guys, now we are flying not to Munich or somewhere else. We are flying there because it will be the best outcome for you all. Because I already know that there will be some problems here, some problems there, so I already created all the strategy for you. So, and this super intelligence is really scary because it can do everything that humans can do, but at the same time, it has all of the data, it can make decisions much better than anyone, and it controls anything. It controls anything. So this is the scary future. This technology, this AI, is a workaround. Because it's like, it looks like intelligent stuff. You can see, okay, you ask the question, and how you judge of the intelligence of something you are talking to, based on the answers. And answers always make sense because they've been delivered using this statistical model. And that's how it works. And this technology has actually its ceiling, so it will not be developing like, it will get faster, a little bit smarter, but I see the future, like for 5 years from now, we will build the different applications that will help to automate all the routine. This is the future for this technology, but the next level technology, probably 50, 60 years from now, yeah, that's scary.
I'll try to be very short. The thing that I believe about this. No. You were talking great. I'm just aware of the time. I don't think that we are going to have an AGI, like a general artificial intelligence moment when we say, "Oh, now we have it." It's going to be like fluent, and it's going to transform into being an AGI, and maybe AGI already exists. And so this is what I think.
Honestly, I feel like even though it's great that I am surrounded by people who use GPT actively on a daily basis, we're still a bubble, right? And there's a lot more, more people who haven't had a chance to use the platform just yet. So I think we're still like, there's a way to go.
Yeah, there's similar stuff here. I think there is a lot of stuff which is already there. For example, digital twins, which they say it's like a procreation of your own, your own image itself. But there's going to be a lot of trial and error before we reach like a perfect stage, and it's going to be progressive. It's not going to be like a moment where we reach this. But we should not be worried. I think that's the message that I want everyone to understand, that AI is there to benefit you if you learn how to adapt and use it effectively for yourself. And that's not really tough in the age where we are. Like I'm not going to differentiate saying my mother can't do it. Like I'll just end this, that my mother, who was, when COVID hit, and she was quite used to going into a school and teaching physically, could adapt to teaching online within a matter of a week. Which wasn't that tough, for my mother. So if my parent could do it, I'm sure, your parents or older generations can also adapt things to faster. So let's make this tech work for us. Yeah, thank you.
So the future is bright open. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Don't miss the opportunity to check out Kettari Academy's event tomorrow, and also the event of Association of Creative Industries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Degamefi.